Welcome. So today we're gonna talk about the fire outbreak at Kantamanto Market. This particular event, as you can see behind, seems to be an annual occurrence. Basically, almost every year we have fire raising some major markets somewhere in the country, especially in our two biggest cities, Accra and Kumasi. Whenever stuff like this happens, we have traders losing millions of cedis, in the long run. At the moment, I think preliminary assessment has indicated that several shops have been destroyed, and then the cost so far is into hundreds of thousands of cedis. But the question is, why do we keep having fires destroying our markets? Who exactly is supposed to be responsible to ensuring stuff like this does not happen? Or at least when it does occur, it is put under control in a timely manner. With this particular incident, it is reported that it had started somewhere dawn, some say 4, thereabouts in the morning, 4 a.m. And they called the fire service. They came around. At least this time we have not had reports of maybe they reaching there late. Unfortunately, there were reports of the fact that fire department got there all right, but then they ran out of water. The usual story. What exactly is going on in this country, and who is supposed to be responsible dealing with stuff like this and ensuring it does not happen again? Because we have our marketplaces where traders earn a living, and then from time to time, out of nowhere, there is fire. This particular incident isn't an isolated case. About a year ago from today, we had similar incidents happening there. And we see all the big men going there to sympathize with traders, assess the situation. In a few days, everything dies down. What exactly is that supposed to mean? Do we just go there to, lip service for the cameras to take pictures and take videos, respond to news crew? We have measures in place. Every time leaders of this country, there are responses. We have plans in place to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen again, but it keeps happening over and over and over again. This is barely a year when the same Kantamanto market was destroyed. And for those who do not know, Kantamanto actually happens to be Ghana's largest second-hand clothes dealership market. All the second-hand clothing that come into the country passes through Kantamanto, one of the biggest places you can ever think of in terms of active trade. Anyway, the good thing is, following the incident, the Ghana Police Service, were actually at the scene to help the fire service cordon off the place and then put the fire under control. They have since issued a series of tweets describing what was going on there. And let me just read a few of them. The Ghana Police, a few hours ago, issued that the police are providing operational support to the Ghana Fire Service as they work to put out a fire that has engulfed a section of the Kantamanto market in Accra. Officials from the National Disaster Management Organization are also supporting the exercise. The Minister for Interior, Honorable Ambrose Derry, is at the scene with Inspector General of Police to assess the extent of damage and interact with affected traders. Basically, this happens almost every time there's a major fire in any of our markets. But what happens after they leave the place? It's like once they leave the place, we don't hear anything else. We don't see new measures. We don't see fire hydrants in the marketplaces to ensure that when stuff like this happens, it will quickly be curtailed, or it will be quickly dealt with. All we see all the time is they are there, they do this. And was there when last year the same market had fire. So far, what have they done to ensure that they get ready and prepare for the next fire? Basically, your guess is as good as mine. Why does it have to always be so? That's quite unfortunate. Traders keep losing money which they cannot even afford. Every now and then, they lose everything, all their investments to fire. Someone needs to really be held responsible for scenes like this, else it will continue happening. Nobody has ever resigned that, oh, there was a disaster and then we were ill prepared to manage and at least prevent stuff like that. So, based on that, for the sake of integrity, I'm resigning. So, the traders are usually the ones who suffer the losses, some of which do their business with loans. And if you lose everything, if your shop is completely destroyed by fire, how exactly are you supposed to raise money to continue business and then pay back that loan? Yes, the Minister of Interior was there and with Derry, but is this the first time? Not so long ago, we saw another fire at Makola where basically the fire service were having challenges quenching the fire because it was on the third floor of a story building. Their ladders were not high enough to reach there. But this will still happen again. I can guarantee you, maximum of a year, there will be another fire somewhere. And these same big men, IGP, fire officers, interior ministers, they will appear there. They will come and give us all the necessary talks that they need to do. We are having plans in place to do this. Every time in Ghana, there is plan in place to prevent stuff like this from occurring, but no plan ever gets executed. Why does it have to be so? Someone needs to take responsibility and ensure that fires like this cannot keep destroying people's livelihood. That is quite unfortunate. Let's just take a close look at some of the scenes from the fire.
I don't have a bomb. I was
Some of the traders who actually spoke to media men present at the scenes explained when the fire started at dawn, they tried to put the fire out while getting in touch with the fire service, which initially they had challenges getting in touch with the fire service. But after getting in touch, they tried putting out the fire on their own. Unfortunately, the more they tried, the more the fire seemed to escalate. So they tried as much as possible to grab a few things that they could just to salvage something to make sure they don't lose everything to the fire. But the fire quickly spread and they had to actually get to safety, put their own safety first, and then they lost most of the stuff that were left in their shops. Let's see what happened.
yɛda hɔ anadwo saa ɛyɛ ha no yɛbaa yɛda ha ahomakye na yɛasɔre na yɛayɛ adwuma nti yɛda saa na yɛti dede yɛsɔre no na yɛhu sɛ ɛgya bi atɔ part of the way Kantamanto yɛyɛ adwuma no nti yɛsɔre no kekeke no yɛtrae sɛ yɛdum no baanyɛ yie na yɛfrɛ fire service no so a yɛnsa yɛnyɛ ɔmo nti yɛyɛ so yɛpagyapagya yɛ machine bi abɔbɔnten baa yɛntumi na agye nsɛm nkɔfo nyɛma nkɔfo bill ɔmo akafa no foforɔ no nyinaa ahye a ebi mu kora fenti na adeɛ yɛnim ha wɔ agya no mom deɛ ɛyɛ yɛ a ɛbaeɛ.
Now, so far, no, what is say a nkofo prepra na say what bibisa?
Yeah, eba na saa no gidigidi me nto obi mu prae ba nye like obi mu hu enya some minor injuries. Ba say obi ewu ana say no de me hyada ntie me nya ya news bia.
Enti start ye no den na mumu ye fa ho before fire service for neighbor.
Yeah, start in the beginning no, started with like small ones yes, yeah, try say you do no. But the more na yeah try say you be do no na spread yɛntumi na ɛyɛ sɛ nea ɛbɛyɛ ndɛ yɛde pagya machines no yɛ nyɛma a ɛwɔ inside no ba abɔnten ba agyinsɛm ɛna biribiara ɛyɛ wei.
The saddest part is while traders struggle to deal with the fire by trying to get some of their goods and belongings out of the fire or from danger to a safe place, criminals also take opportunity to loot goods. Let's just hope the presence of the police will at least minimize these kind of incidents so that traders do not have to lose everything completely and then have to start from, basically zero and build up again. But leaders need to do more to ensure that these things don't keep occurring. I can assure you that the leaders there, those politicians, they will definitely come and say, oh, we have plans in place to ensure stuff like this never happens again. Exactly the same speeches they give. 9 years ago, there was a fire there. 2020, there was a fire there. Last year, there was a fire there. Now there is fire. I can guarantee you latest by next year, there will be another fire in another market somewhere, and they will come and give us the same speeches. When will they make sure that their words become actions so that the poor, innocent trader does not keep losing to market fires in this particular country? Just look at the chaotic scenes. Have a look at some of the scenes and the videos. You can see traders struggling to basically carry their force bales out of that place just to ensure that it isn't destroyed by fire. But as to whether where they are taking it to is even safe enough is another question. There's a possibility that some criminal somewhere is waiting to seize the chance of stealing some of the things to go sell for themselves. This has to stop. Currently, we have a report. Earlier on, we got a report that about 15 shops were completely destroyed in the early hours. You know, the fire started at dawn around 4 in the early hours, but now the number has since increased to over 200. Here's a report by Ghana Web, and then let me just read that out to you. That a lot of damage was caused to several properties of traders of the Kantamanto market in Accra in the early hours of Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, when fire swept through the market. Reports from Ghana Web's reporter on the grounds indicate that extent of damage caused by the fire had affected a great part of the busy dresses and shoes market, with more than 200 shops believed to have been affected by the inferno. It is still unclear what caused the fire. But as at the time Ghana Web got to the scene, it was noticed that efforts of the Ghana National Fire Service to douse the fire had not been so successful, as many shops and their goods had been reduced to ashes. There were about 7 fire tenders dispatched to the fire scene at the time of the report. So you can imagine. And I'm not surprised the efforts of the fire service was not so effective, because most of the fire tenders we see around town, you can tell those guys need a lot of maintenance, or in fact an entire replacement. We see some fire tenders and you wonder if they are coming to start a fire or actually put out a fire. The smoke behind that fire tender alone is even scarier than the fire they are coming to quench. Something needs to be done. Due to politics, if you should speak to any fire officer right now, they'll tell you, oh, we are well equipped, everything is in order, because they are afraid to speak the truth. If you speak the truth in this country, you become an enemy. If any fire officer should speak the truth right now and say, we lack this, we lack that, we lack this, I trust you within the next 2 weeks, the person will be nowhere to be found. At best, he gets transferred to some remote village in Ghana. Transfer is punishment. Or the person's progress in that particular fire service, whatever, that workforce is curtailed. They will never progress, because they will say you are making a particular government unpopular. So all the time, fire service officers, as in their bosses, they will always tell you everything is in order. Everything is always in order, but whenever there is a challenge or there is a disaster, nobody is able to manage it properly. That's quite unfortunate, and it's sad. We need to start fixing it now. Take politics out of these things.